Thank you for tuning in. This is DJ Bob Fresh from SEGASHIRO.com, your Sega resource, and today we're doing a video review of the long-winded title. This is Arcade's Hit Pack, Gunblade New York, and LA Machineguns. It's almost absurd to think that Sega's released these two arcade ports, which are a blast from the past. Gunblade New York originally debuted in 1995 on the Sega arcade board Model 2. LA Machineguns, on the other hand, debuted 2 years later on the Model 3 in 1997. Both of these titles have not seen release before outside of the arcade, and so this is a new package for the Nintendo Wii that pretty much came out of left field, and while dated in some ways, is a spectacular package for fans of the series and old school gamers and arcade fans alike. These games are still wildly popular choices at my local arcade. There's something so immediate about the action and so cinematic about flying over the cityscapes that gamers still flock to them years and years later. They're an incredibly visceral package, and the Wii translation manages to capture that feeling. Now I'm just going to touch on graphics here for a second. We live in an interesting time in gaming where retro style gaming has become its own style. And in a funny way, this game manages to capture that. It captures exactly what the 90s were like, and yet, at the same time, if you were to go back and look at these games on the arcade versus looking at them at the Wii version looks substantially better. Why? Because Sega's managed to take all the textures and bump them up to 480p and spread the action across a 16:9 screen. Now, I've actually played this game on a 1080p TV with the image stretched out, and it still looks clean and beautiful on there. Combine that with the awesome speed that the game moves at and the wild and frantic action, and you got a game that, despite being dated in terms of textures, still looks fantastic. It still captures the same art style that Sega was going for back in the mid-90s. Obviously, if you're a stickler for the arcade experience, the Wii Zapper isn't exactly the same as those giant Gatling guns that you had in the arcade. However, it does a more than adequate job of bringing the experience across. Just a point about the controls, obviously the Wii recommends you be 6 to 8 feet away from the screen. I played it like that, it works really nicely. However, I did play it at half that distance for recording, and it still worked rather well. Sega also mapped some of that vintage voice acting to come out through the Wiimote speaker, so while it's a little bit canned sounding, it's nice to have, and you can turn it off. Funny enough though, I only ever managed to unlock weapons in Gunblade New York for LA Machineguns, and even though I played through LA Machineguns several times, I never unlocked anything there. However, the rankings, both online and offline, are fun to have, and considering how obscure these titles are, it's just great to see them in a package and together. Personally, on some levels, this is a pretty bare-bone package. It's straight-up ports of both arcade titles. Gunblade has a score attack mode attached to it, however, oddly enough, LA Machineguns doesn't. And then if you play the game on a variety of difficulty levels, you can actually rank up your character. There's full ranking leaderboards, and as well as you can unlock weapons. Also, just a point between the two games, personally I preferred Gunblade New York over LA Machineguns, quite possibly because of score attack mode. There was something you've said about just running through the levels, having only a minute or so to beat them, and just seeing the giant point scores pop out of your enemies as you shoot them. Also, the unlockable weapons do add a little bit of variation to the game. You find that, there will be certain circumstances where you might want to use one weapon or another to kind of increase your high score. However, there is really no penalty for dying in this game, even on the hardest difficulty levels. You have unlimited credits, and also you never have to reload, so this is really just a mega blastathon, which, for what it is stupid, stupid fun. Gunblade New York and LA Machineguns are ultimately great pick-up-and-play games. Now, this isn't going to take you hours and hours to beat. You'll probably beat it on your first sitting if you really want to, but where this game really is fun is you get a second player, and it's almost what I would call a post-pub kind of game. And by that I mean it's a really simple game in the sense it's just point and shoot, it's immediate, you don't need your full set of motor skills. But on the other hand, at the same time, if you're hanging out with a buddy, you can play this game and still talk and laugh, and it's just a generally good time, and it serves its purpose very well. At $29.99, this is exactly what I want to see Sega doing with their budget line. They're two titles that are completely niche, and not a lot of gamers got to appreciate them back in the day. And Sega has such a diverse and enormous catalog that it's great to see them actually mine some of that content. If you're looking to pick this game up and you're a fan, highly recommended. If you're not a fan of light gun shooters, probably not much to change your mind here. This is DJ Fob Fresh signing out, wishing you well on your gaming journey.